I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is all the mods 10 to the sky. Now, over the last few episodes, we have been kind of playing around with some things here in the all the mods 10 to the sky world. Just a recap, we did get ourselves up a quantum computer and an assembly matrix, allowing us to craft things almost instantaneously. And we also dabbled into Draconic evolution, allowing us to change the time of day on a whim. This is absolutely wild watching this happen. I love this. And speaking of Draconic evolution, we designed an entire room around automating Draconic's injector. Yes, the good old fusion crafting from Draconic evolution. And if you missed last episode, you should definitely check it out because there's a lot of awesome information regarding how you can actually automate this and use applied energistics to do so. But now it's like, why are we doing this? What is the reason we even got into Draconic evolution in the first place? And that's because we do need to get to Chaos tier so that way we gain access to that crafting ability. There's actually some tools that specifically require that to be the case. For example, if I want to be able to make the Allthemodium blade, you can see that this requires Draconic. That's just fine. But to go to the next tier and actually make the Allthemodium Paxel, this thing right here requires the Chaotic core crafting. And this is just one of many things that we're going to need. Of course, to be able to get the Allthemod Star, which is an ultimate goal for this pack, I am going to need Chaos. We have to have this if I'm going to make the Draconic reactor core. And well, what do we actually need to do to get Chaos shards and to be able to automate those shards? We have to take on the Chaos Guardian. Now I know what you're thinking. I've tried that boss. That boss is awful. And I would have to agree with you, the boss can be kind of awful. But I think I know some ways that can at least keep you alive while you fight this boss. Or at least I'm going to try. Now, since we're going to be diving into some really OP things today, especially from Draconic evolution and getting these tools, what is your favorite, most OP item in your opinion? Let me know down in the comments below. Now, before we get into upgrading our gear and doing all kinds of other fun things with Draconic evolution, something new was added in the latest update, and I tell you what, it's kind of powerful. And I'm going to show you exactly how to get it. The Allthemodium G-Ores. Yes, the recipe was now added, so we can craft them. And what does it take? 9 blocks of Allthemodium, for example, and a 5 times compressed sand block. Yeah, that essence farm seems like it would be a really good thing that I just recently made to be able to get sand. But I actually have a better suggestion. If you can actually make the unlimited cobble cell, you really don't have to worry about this anymore, so long as you have this and you've made the 5 times, or I guess it's 5x cobblestone pattern, so you can craft it up to that, and you have a quantum computer, well, it just crafts it instantaneously. And so you can just pull out a 5 times cobble, and you can just put this right into your crusher, and it turns it into 5 times gravel. Then you can take those, and you can compress those down into 5 times sand. Yeah, it's that powerful. And so I'm going to make 2 sets of G-Ores each for this, because at the point where I'm currently at, I mean, it is 100% feasible for me to do, especially since I got the bees up and running and they're actually producing the unobtainium for me. This is, yes, definitely going to outperform the bees by a significant margin, but I'm going to go ahead and place these in. These are all speedier and doing its whole thing, and it's going to happen really, really fast, I believe. Required fuel. That's a lot of Fe. What does it mean? That's a lot. That's so weird. Can it break down if it's in ingot form? Oh, so we just got to break it down in ingot form. Apparently it doesn't like being in block form. That's fine. But yeah, all I'm going to need to do is have this dropped into here, all of that liquid. And I think it's quite a bit, right? Yeah, it's going to take a hot moment for it to drain all into here. But as soon as it does, we will have all these buds. Now, while I'm working on this, I do want to mention a few things. So if I use my dislocator real quick and we select the tech room, which I've now identified these, actually the crystal room is the one I need. So if I go to crystal room, I'm actually going to stop the production here and I'm going to replace these G-Ores with the new Allthemodium version. Because this was only put in place so that way we could literally craft vibranium. And I think I have enough vibranium, 81,000 of them in here. I don't think I need any more. Well, I don't need to produce them anymore that way, which will also loosen up this craft here that was producing those ingots, those crystalline ingots that we were needing. So yeah, this whole thing has completely changed now that we have these gears. Now with all of these crafted up, I mean, it's time to put them into position. This is gonna be very nice. So let's go ahead and head back to the crystal room. And this is where I'm going to be placing all of these in, and I'm going to place them in order. So there's these, and there's the vibranium, and there is the, oh, well, that's not where they go. Also, it should have broken. Oh, they didn't add the tag to this one. Okay, so I've got to make another unobtainium one because apparently, unlike all of the other ones, you can still break them. And there we go. Okay, so that is solved. Now, something that I wanted to play around with, and if I take a look down here, I did have a pattern set up, and I'm pretty sure this is how this works. I wanted to test it out on another one before putting this in here, but you set it to allow list, put the things in that you only want to be able to compress, because these shards need to be compressed into blocks, and then these blocks can then be turned into nuggets. So this is kind of important. So I actually want to take these and have them automatically compressed. So I need to have it set to compact anything, allow and only allow these specific items to be compressed. And that should compress them as soon as I turn this back on and I start saying, hey, here's the things that you can break. So we go to Gears, and this is all kind of new here. We go this, and then we go this and this. And now it should be breaking all of those, collecting the crystals. I put this inside, and now it automatically starts generating the blocks, which is what we need if we plan on, you know, setting these up and making them work a little bit nicer, right? And allowing us to be able to automatically craft with them with applied energistics. Now, is that 100% necessary? Probably not, but I will say between the bees and the stuff that we did before, we definitely have enough, and I really wanted to complete my Gear collection. Now on to the fun stuff, because today we get to talk a little bit about gearing up and things that are a little bit more obscure in a pack like this, especially relating to Apotheosis. And Apotheosis is very, very weird. If you hit Control-T, you have this pinnacle system that you need to use to sort of level up, or not pinnacle system, I forget what it's called. Haven? No, that's the starting. I forget what this is called. Essentially, it's your difficulty, right? Your adventure list, as you will. And the thing that is going to happen is you're going to have a required list of things that you need to do. And the last two things that I needed to do was like kill the Ender Dragon, for example. And then I had to equip like rare and epic gear, which was like the blue and purple gear. And I was easily able to get that by letting my armory cabinet fill up, of course, after completing each individual tier. Because once you complete these tiers, the higher tier mobs will then start to spawn inside of your mob farm. If you have an island such as this, because this just allows those world events to happen. Now, inside of this menu, you want to level it up as soon as possible. So I am now at Pinnacle tier, which is the highest tier, which now I get a lot of different types of bosses that spawn. And one of those tiers is Mythic. And so now I am actually getting Godforged Pearls directly from here. And I'm also getting higher tier gems, which is kind of something that I also need if I plan on making some really powerful gear. So all of the gems I've just been collecting here, so they get pulled out, they go into these barrels, which already have the gems in them. And then if I find a new gem, like for example, this gem, which is a perfect ballast gem, I just put it in this position. So anytime I get another one of these, it'll just go into this slot. So that's kind of all I'm really doing here. Now, they go into the armor cabinet, any of the gear from the mob farm. I have removed the voiding for the gear, so that gets pushed into an armory cabinet. And then what I have a very special filter, distribute to nearest first. So what it's going to do, it's going to pull the items out of the pipe, see if it can put it into the salvaging table. And if it can't go into the salvaging table, it's going to find the next inventory to put it in, which is the trash can. So what this is doing is this is helping me out a lot by also voiding out all of the mechanism gear that ends up building up in the cabinet. And so the salvaging table, I have the items being pulled out of here with a item translocator, and it's just simply pulling it out stacks at a time. I clicked glowstone on here, very, very easy to do. And now all of those items get sent into a barrel. Very, very straightforward. And we're going to need a lot of this material getting into Apotheosis and anything in the future really related to Apotheosis. So now back in our Draconic evolution room, talking a little bit about some interesting ways that we can craft things faster from Draconic as well. We can go ahead and we can request patterns and make these patterns and not actually send the items to our Draconic crafter. Let's just say I have something that I want to craft pretty quick. And these are all of the items required. Like I want to make a Draconic chest piece, right? It requires all of these individual items, and we have almost all of them set up on AutoCraft. So yes, for the most part, things are going in AutoCrafts and blah, 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 all of that fun stuff. But I just need to make this. So I click to add this pattern, and this is all of the ingredients required, and I create this pattern. And then I put it into just a regular pattern provider that is connected directly to a barrel. And this is a quick way to just simply request all of these items. I go, I need one of them. Oh, actually, looks like we need another step further, right? We have to actually make a wyvern. Let's just make the pattern for a wyvern, right? These are the basic items required. I'm going to need a pattern for these, so I can just drop those in. And yes, I can do the same thing for this. So let's just say, okay, we need a wyvern chest piece. I guess it's another example. There's just so many crafting steps it looks like involved in all of this basic stuff. Okay, so there's the pattern for the chest piece. Now we can craft the wyvern. I craft it, hoping that the pattern goes in. There we go. And this is going to pull the request for all of the items and send it into this barrel. Now I am going to have to cancel this request. That is a very simple thing we can do. We can just pop open that menu and then just hit cancel after receiving the items. Then we can go in here and we can just craft the thing that we wanted to craft. So this is a very interesting way of just doing those single item crafts. Yeah, just kind of playing the system here. So we hit that button and that automatically starts the craft because the items were in our inventory. Just a little quick tip if you're wondering how you could make this crafting process faster. Now, besides that, this chest piece that we're making, yeah, this thing's pretty important for making sure we kind of survive or be a little bit more survivable while we are fighting this dragon. So now that I have the Draconic chest piece, I mean, we can just equip this. Right. Well, it doesn't actually need to go in our body slot. So this is what's really nice. We can keep our full gear on and equip it in this particular slot. And we have a tool config button. I do recommend going into your Draconic configs and setting the tool config button to be able to be opened up. So that way you can access all of these modules. And so, modules. Yes, we've got to talk about those. Now, whenever we open this menu, the modules are right here. These are all of the supported modules that you're going to find, and they all have their different tier. We kind of want to get them up to Draconic if we can, but there are a few that are very specific that we're going to want. The primary one is, of course, getting energy into this thing. That's what allows it to work in the first place. But we're also going to want other things like shielding, like to kind of protect us from taking damage. Now, those primary modules that we're really going to need to worry about are the undying modules, not the chaotic, but the undying. And as much as I would say that these are super helpful, they are kind of fine to really not need, because I am going to use another method to hopefully prevent us from dying by actually using normal totems of undying because of how many we have. So we may be able to forego these potentially for more shielding capacity. The shielding is what's really kind of important for this. But yes, this is going to be very expensive. Draconic stuff is not cheap, but finally we have something to use all of our stuff on. And this is one thing that we're going to need to spend our bucks on right here. So now, first things first, we just need to place that Draconic energy module inside of the slot. And now we technically have power, but nothing's going to change because we don't have any shields installed. We should have some really neat visual effects that happen after installing this. And honestly, crafting these are not that bad. So this is going to cost quite a bit on the operation cost. But you know what? At the end of the day, we may have to figure out another solution for power. And if so, then so be it. So there we go. Now we have some shields. It says no shield installed. But I mean, I think we need a shield controller. And now the shield controller is going to cost another dragon heart. So I do have to go take on the dragon one more time. And down goes another dragon. But now with this, we have everything I think we need for the shields to engage. So perfect. We have that, and our shields are now charging. But are we going to see like a visual representation? No. Is it still bugged where we can't see it in the world? Wow. We can see it in here, but we can't see it out here. Darn. Some other things I might want is like adjustable speed. So a few speed modules probably wouldn't be a bad idea. So I am brewing up a few of these. And the cool thing is when we have the pattern, like for the speed modules, we can kind of know how many of the actual potions of swiftness we're going to need. So let's say I want 3 of these. Yeah, we need about 20 of them. So I just changed out some of the ingredients on our potion brewer. We have awkward potions that then lead into this, which is then taking those awkward potions and turning them into potions, just using some basic filtering on these setups. Pretty simple here. Now I almost have all of the modules ready to go. I essentially just need to craft up the Draconic shielding module, which is this one right here. And I did have to make a potion. That's the only thing that's a little bit awkward. I don't know why AE was having a hard time pulling the auto crafts. Like I had to manually craft the speed modules, at least the first 12 of the basic ones, because the potions just weren't interacting very well. But I do have this mostly done now. We just need 2 of these. That's all we can actually have inside of our piece of gear. But once we have these are essentially like a rechargeable Draconic, or a rechargeable totem of undying, essentially. And that almost fills out everything. You can see these are now charging up, and we do have a couple of other slots. But yeah, for the most part, this is basically filled up. And you know what? Honestly, we just toss these bad boys in here. That way we can have a little bit more transfer in. And this is looking pretty decent. Now, flight module would be nice, but it does cost a 3x3 grid space, which would technically remove some of this stuff. But it is a pretty quick flight. But I've got some other suggestions for getting around the end, especially to get to those big areas. By the way, OP per tick is a joke, basically, towards it being overpowered. It's a direct transfer to RF per tick or FE per tick. So now default walking speed, not really affected that much. We already have some speed boost from our gear here, but this is all toggleable. And if I hit the control to be able to sprint, that's when we get some really crazy speed. Now there's another hotkey that allows us to toggle these things on. You have shield visible always. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it works in the overworld. There is actually the ability to toggle that. You have sprint speed or walk speed. We can turn that all the way up to 150. And then this is what walk speed will feel like. Yeah, pretty fast, but very helpful when actually fighting things inside of this dimension. Like when we actually go to take on the Chaos Dragon. Inside of here, yeah, it would annoy me so much. But you know what? Again, if you just want to pause real quick and just take a look at everything that is here, this is a pretty decent setup. Definitely going to help you out. I mean, this is basically your charge completed, and we should be able to recharge our shield pretty quickly. But if our shield does deplete, we do have these totems in here that will pop, and each one of them basically holds 2 totems. This is 2 totems. This is 2 totems. And when they pop, and they take a minute to recharge. Now, if they don't recharge, there's another way that we can actually give ourselves totems. And for this setup, we're going to use modular routers. Yes, good old modular routers. And this gives us the ability to interact with our player. So we just need a few different things, it looks like, to be able to make the player module, which is the Cinder module, which is just crafting apparently all of this stuff, which we definitely have in stock. And then that's basically it. Like a diamond helmet, we probably want this on autocraft just so we can make this anytime we want. We'll just slap that together, and then I can quite literally craft this on demand. It is so nice. And there we go. So how do we actually set up the player module? Now, whenever we go to interact here, we probably want to transfer from out of the router into an inventory, and we can actually select specifically our offhand slot. And then we'll just use AE to keep the buffer transferring the items into here constantly. Now an exporter, I think that it'll keep an item in the buffer, but we might actually want to transfer items into here differently just to make sure it's fast enough. Because we do want to make sure this goes in here. Let's do totems. We have 16,000. Notice these don't stack, and it's also not going to stack inside of the modular router either. So, you know what? We can just use an interface, and we can use something that transfers items like almost instantaneously, I think. That's going to be a much better solution. So, modular router, we don't have to worry about ramp up period. We just say, hey, keep totems in stock inside of the interface, or at least try to keep totems in stock. Oh, apparently we're out of channels here. I'll just fix that real quick. And there we go. Perfect. That should also keep things in line. Oh, wow. No, it actually wasn't the cables at all here that was at fault. I'm quite literally using all 32 channels available on this one connector. Interesting. Problem solving with Chosen. Yes, this right here I've fixed now, and I can go ahead and slap that back down. Interface. And like I said, this will connect in perfect. And it's always going to feed out one of these, which is be very, very quick. And then we can use, like, I don't know, the industrial foregoing item transporters. I mean, that's a very quick way, I think, of keeping these items and getting them sent very quickly into here. Like there's really not much of a delay, especially if we put like the speed upgrades, even the base tier speed upgrades in here. Like we're looking at very, very quick speeds happening. So now once I put this inside of here, we should end up, if I set this all correctly, we should end up having this transfer items out of the router into my offhand slot. There's the Totem of Undying. We put the module in, and I'm not getting items in my offhand slot. Okay. We need speed upgrades? I mean, that also makes it send it quicker to me. But do we need anything else? I don't think so. And you know what? What we could also possibly do is set this to whitelist and specify specifically what we're sending. I mean, I would hope that this would work. I don't know why it wouldn't. Aha. Yes. If you encounter the same issue I did, just put it inside of your inventory and then make sure it's bound to you. That was definitely something that I forgot to do. So yes, now when we do this, perfect. You see the totem popped in my offhand, and look how quickly I can just throw these out and how quickly they pull back up into my inventory. And that is what we want. We want to make sure when we're fighting this that we always have a totem in our offhand. The cool thing is we can turn this on and off as needed. We can actually use redstone or wireless redstone to turn this on or off, so it does send whenever we want it to. Right now, I'm just going to turn it on before battle, but just keep that in mind. Bam. We have totems, and I think that we're good on totems. I have almost an infinite amount of them, which means that if we do die, it should pop. Even if we stand in front of the laser, it'll just pop, 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 pop over and over again, and we shouldn't have to worry about the death. It's the laser that's really dangerous with this dragon fight. So at this point, we've made the Draconic chest piece, which gives us some shields, but we also need to make some weapons. And yeah, the ones from Draconic are going to be some of the best used to actually take on the dragon. Specifically, the Draconic bow. And I also recommend making the Draconic staff of power. This is also incredibly important. Tell you though, this method for crafting this stuff up, utilizing the pattern provider and just sending the ingredients, makes this a lot more bearable. I've done this craft a ton of times, and I tell you, things like this is what makes this a whole lot nicer if you've done it before. And so there we go. I mean, this right here is getting ourselves the big boy tool. This is the Draconic Staff of Power, a very powerful tool, but we are going to kind of need this in order. I love how it doesn't even render in my hand. We're going to need this if I want to break the crystals whenever we're actually fighting the dragon. Also, does this render now correctly in the offhand? Oh, it does. Okay, nice. Good. Not so much the bow. The bow's a little bit crooked. Now, while I was setting this up, something that I did find out that does make this a lot better is enable substitutions to allow the potions to actually work. Specifically for the speed module and any of these other modules, I am making these potions sort of by hand as needed. But it is made very, very quickly over here, especially with the ability to accelerate the time one. But the actual crafting of the speed upgrades and stuff, like, it is kind of a pain without it doing the auto crafting for me. So now I can actually do this. For example, I need 8 of the speed modules to be able to go into the bow, and I can now just actually craft the thing, which is kind of important because otherwise it would take a while. Now, after a little bit of tinkering around and crafting of the modules, here is where I am at. I have essentially maxed out the speed of the bow, so it is as fast as it can possibly be. I've also maxed out the velocity. You can only have 8 of these, and the higher the velocity, the more damage ultimately we are going to deal. But to increase that damage, I have as many damage modifiers as I can put into here to increase that damage as much as possible. And then I have, of course, the auto fire, which is almost 100% necessary here. And then we have the just one projectile gravity compensation module to help allow the projectile to fly a little bit further. and I believe you can have more of these, which would help. But I really wanted to maximize damage, and this is sort of what it looks like. Like that goes quite far just with the one. There is a little bit of gravity we do have to worry about, but honestly, it's going to be really good. And we haven't even enchanted these yet, and we also haven't done any apothic things to it. I just really hate how I can't see it whenever I F5. It's, I mean, I guess if it's in my offhand, like, oh yeah, this is great. So after getting some potions crafted up, I have really a couple of things that need to go into the Draconic Staff of Power. I mean, it's really not much. We need the energy module. We need 8 of the speed modules. Like, this is quite literally it. And the rest of this thing filled up exclusively with damage modules. At least for my case, since I'm going to be using it to damage things, not really break blocks, even though it will break blocks really, really fast, especially with the dig speed modifier, which I think we can apply to it. But let's go ahead and craft those damage modifiers. I crafted up a bunch of stuff for this. I really did it in steps. So I crafted the potions needed to make the 156 of the damage module bases. And then I made the strength 2 potions, which is going to allow me to make the 39 of these that are going to be needed to fill in the rest of the setup. And I mean, that combined with everything else we've been doing, that should be more than enough. Yeah, we're just waiting on ingots. And there we go. All 39 done. And I've just got to get these all in place, and we're going to watch that damage value really start to increase. Now, I was looking at Apotheosis, and I did notice that the Draconic Staff can't be Apotheosis, if that's what I can say. But there we go. Base damage on this, 302 attack damage, 400% speed. This is a pretty quick tool. Very, very fast. And let's see. We have a dig speed modifier. I think that's basically it on this tool. I mean, I guess that's it. I would have thought speed would have increased the dig speed, but weird. I mean, I guess we can do the obsidian test. I mean, it breaks obsidian pretty quick, honestly. Faster than the disassembler. I mean, they're pretty darn close. I do think, though, the Staff of Power does break it quicker. Can it break leaves? Yeah, it can. Oh, look at there. So, yeah. I mean, this is a very, very nice tool that we can use to break different blocks, just like that. But I tell you, there's just something about the disassembler. I don't know. I like this thing way more than this. This is a damage dealer. So I guess let's take our invisible tool and let's test it out. Yeah, I mean, it works. Oh, and it's fine, guys. Don't worry. Don't worry. They come back. They're immortal. Now back to the bow and making more damage out of the bow. I mean, we can grab ourselves a power 8 bow or power 8 enchanted book here with infinity. So that way we don't have to worry about arrows on this bow. And this can actually be enchanted. So we will end up with infinity. I don't know why infinity is red here. Like, does it... It should work, right? Arrows? Infinite, right? I mean, there's 48. 48. Okay. It was just kind of caught me off guard that they were red. But yes, this will definitely funk. Oh, I am so sorry. Oh, my bad. I'll just get them right back up and ready to go. But yes, so this unfortunately can't be reforged, but this can. And this is something that I want to get into later on. This is going to require a lot of other things, but yes. I don't know why it says power and looting. Like, it's going to give us extra looting. That's even crazier. But what gets even crazier is when we dive into Apotheosis, this bow is going to become insanely powerful. Already, it does a lot of damage per attack, but we can actually boost all of this damage and velocity speed by like over 50% more than it currently exists. This is going to be ridiculous. That's something I'm going to work on next episode, is getting all of the Apotheosis stuff set up, and we can Apotheosis all of our gear and finally start actually using some of the materials that I've been collecting for so long. But before we go anywhere, let's go ahead and spawn in the Warden. I do want to swab the Warden, and I want to see just a single arrow. How much damage does that do? Wow, that really didn't seem like much, did it? Oh yeah, we're gonna need so much more. But look how much damage we resist. Completely resisted that damage. Now, the Draconic Staff, this does a tremendous amount of power, but this does a lot of power, like a lot of damage repetitively over and over again, which is where the power really comes into play. This right here is going to be really nice for taking out tons of different things. Like we should be able to use the Staff of Power, or I could just make a Draconic Sword too. This is going to be really handy though for taking out withers that are going to spawn during this dragon fight. I mean, all of this to prep up for a dragon fight is kind of wild. Now, it also only makes sense to really test this also out on a regular dragon and just kind of see how does this work as far as the bow goes on the regular dragon. Yeah, I mean, pretty decent without even having the Apotheosis stuff on there. Yep, pretty easy. And so with all of that, I think today we got most of our equipment all set up, basically all ready to go, which is really, really nice. So now we have our Draconic gear, and I think this has to be like some of the best configurations that you can use to maximize the Draconic gear. And I think that we are going to be able to get even more out of this whenever we use Apotheosis, which will possibly be next episode. So be sure to click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. And hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. Leave a comment down below if you did, of course, answering today's question. And, well, guys, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And without further ado, it's time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Divega. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and just supporting my content in one of the best ways possible. And hopefully I said your name right. Sorry about that. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.